Today I head to the Phoenix Reptile Expo being held at the Mesa Convention Center. It's $12 to get in for adults and $5 for youth, and it runs Saturday and Sunday. This was actually as I was coming out. You can see the lines moving quickly, but there was quite a long line. This is day one of the two-day event. And it's actually Saturday morning right now, and I was fortunate to get in a little bit early. The expo opened at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and it's 11 a.m. on Sunday. But they did something new this year. You could actually buy an early entry ticket. I believe this is the first for the event, but at a couple different local reptile shops, you could pay $25 and buy a ticket to the Reptile Expo that would get you in an hour early. Well, all the vendors might not have all their reptiles out on display yet. It definitely gives you an advantage, and you don't have the crowds to fight. So if you're looking for something special, maybe a big Egyptian Uromastic, you might want to make sure you get one of those early entry tickets so you can get the reptile of your dreams before someone else beats you to it.
This is a video of Christian and his son with some big lizard. What kind of water monitor is this?
Asian water monitor. And it's a girl.
That's
Ripper.
Ripper?
Ripper.
Wow.
Go to the expo and you can get your picture taken with Ripper. But there's lots to see. The giant water monitors, had a chance to see them on my recent trip to Indonesia. Unfortunately, didn't get to see any. But I've seen them in the wild on previous trips. And of course we did get to see Komodo dragons. But you saw that aquatic snake earlier, and now they also have some newts. So there's a little bit of everything. Some chameleons, different types and varieties. And of course, my favorite is the Parsons chameleon. Of course, they have a pretty hefty price tag with them as well. And of course, veiled chameleons are probably the best chameleon species to keep here in Phoenix. Can handle quite a bit of heat. But whatever you're looking for, there's a good chance you'll find it here. Standing day gecko, one of my favorite day geckos. And of course, some of the standards. Cuban night anole, blue-tongued skinks. Just a little bit of everything. I went with my buddy Kelly to see Komodo dragons recently, and he started talking about wanting to get a water monitor. And it's funny, I hadn't really paid much attention to past reptile expos, but this time, since I kind of had water monitors on the mind, I saw tons of them there. Well, at least several of them. And that's probably because some of them are still being imported from the wild. But all these snakes you're seeing, all the different morphs, are all captive born. Just about everything you see at expos these days are captive born. Just a ton of variety. I like these red spotted garter snakes. Look kind of like the endangered San Francisco garter snake. But these are legal for you to buy and have. amelanistic leopard geckos, different monitors, commons,
I don't know if you can see it, but they're
galliwasps,
keep them kind of like a
spectacular
leopard, but
looking,
just more
blue iguana.
humidity.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Like I say, just about whatever you want. All you need is love and maybe a bearded dragon. Cool looking bearded dragons. And let me ask your opinion on leatherbacks. Should they be allowed? Should we have all these different color morphs? Are they healthy for the animals? Should we have hybrids of any type? All ethical questions for us to consider in the reptile hobby. And I mention this simply because in Europe, they've banned the sale of a number of these different hybrids or morphs, as they don't believe they're genetically healthy, such as the leatherback bearded dragons that have just thin skin. Speaking of water monitors, also some of the albino leopard geckos that they don't believe are genetically healthy. Some of the boas and pythons, again, that they just... What do we have there? It's James and Drew. They're the owners of the Phoenix Reptile Expo, and I got them both together in one picture. Frilled dragons, plants, shipping, centipedes, just like I say, whatever you're looking for, there's a chance you'll find it at the expo. There's also an auction tonight that'll benefit USARK.
Okay, I'm here with Vanessa at her pet shop booth and also USARK. And I've asked her to say something intelligent.
Super intelligent. Hi, my name's Vanessa, and I know Jerry Fife.
Hey!
Phil Goss, pictured here, is the president of USARK and fights for the rights of all reptile keepers. But it's important that we be responsible as well. I mentioned earlier that the International Herpetological Society in Europe has banned the sale of a number of reptiles at expos there. Here's a list of what they've banned. You'll see various morphs of leopard geckos, bearded dragons, African fat-tailed geckos, and various boas and pythons. I guess the question I have is, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? And if these policies have hit Europe, will they come to the United States? Everyone has an opinion on what it is to be a responsible reptile breeder. I know a lot of people here don't think we should breed African spurred tortoises, that there's too many of them already. And this could be said of a number of different reptile species, that they get either too big or the average person can't maintain them properly. I think that's justification that they should be banned from reptile shows. So, leave a comment on what you think should or should not be allowed at a reptile show. Should wild-caught reptiles be allowed? Should it be only captive bred? Should morphs or hybrids be allowed?
Ornate-wood turtles.
I guess the point to the question is that as we support USR, because they fight for our rights as reptile breeders and to maintain and own different reptiles, we need to do our part as responsible reptile keepers so that we kind of police ourselves so that regulations and laws and policies aren't enacted. You see it all the time in relationship to venomous reptiles, where a state doesn't have any regulations, and then once someone does something irresponsible, gets bit by showing off on YouTube, well, suddenly the state enacts laws and regulations. So we need to do our best. See that anaconda? If you want to keep one, be a responsible pet owner. And there was a mangrove snake, something I got to see and catch in the wild here recently. Looks like we're to the tortoise compound.
Spectacular.
Couple large Aldabra tortoises.
Now, to the tortoise compound.
Jerry,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's always good to see you. How are you?
I'm all right.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, me too. I keep seeing all the cool stuff you guys are posting on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
Getting some cool things. Pied pectinata. They don't look spectacular yet, but they will.
I call this their muddy phase.
Here's some nice yellow pectinata.
Some regular.
But they've got just a variety of different spiny-tailed iguanas and cyclura.
A little bit of everything.
Arizona tortoise compound. Don't forget it includes lizards. But of course, the tortoises are spectacular too. The radiated tortoise,
There's the man himself.
redfoots,
Put the bag in your hand, put them on that.
leopards, all the different species. Here's Joey and Debbie McMorris, one of the vendors. Tried to get pictures of just about all the vendors, and at least a sample of some of the reptiles they had at the expo. And it's not just animals, plants, bugs, spiders, a little bit of everything. But you can see once the expo's open, the crowds make it a little bit harder to get in to see everything. I always zip through quickly to try to get an idea of what's there, and then you can take a little bit more time and look for that special reptile. But what do you think the future of the reptile industry is? What regulations will be put in place? Do you think there should be any restrictions? That giant anaconda wouldn't be legal in some states. So be responsible so we don't get more regulations passed and more restrictions. I hope you enjoyed the expo.